Howdy, howlers. Jeez. Oh my gosh, it is Monday morning. We had to shuffle around the time a little bit. But we are here. You can watch us in post. Everything is going to be kosher. It'll be wonderful. Yeah. Thank you. You have been.
You unmuted me, didn't you?
Yeah.
Well. The best part is I told Sako I was going to do that, and then I told her I wasn't going to do that, and so then I did that. You never know what you're going to get from Sako on the Moon. At least for me, I'm totally
never gonna get. Okay, sorry.
This is not a critique of En Vogue.
No.
Because the only critique on En Vogue is they're awesome.
Yes, I was a big fan as a youth.
I hate when Dawn left the group, but this is not a music show. This is a movie show. This is about a horror show. This is about the body horror movie we talked about last Friday.
Mm-hmm.
This is about the substance.
Woo! Hi, Aisling. Good to see you.
It's gonna be a good one because it was a good movie to review.
The thing is like there's going to be tons of spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie, then you might want to cover your ears.
Go ahead and pause it. It is on. You can rent it on Prime. I think you can rent it on Prime.
And also a 7-day trial on Mubi.
There you go.
Where it is exclusively streaming.
I lucked out. I didn't realize this, but like the movie just came out like December or whatever, and it's already on DVD and Blu-ray. So I went to go put it in my cart.
I need to own it.
Because I was going to review it, but I was going to watch it. I didn't want to really rent it. I'd rather own my physical media, buy physical media. And then like the price dropped. It was like suddenly like almost $8 cheaper. So I hurried up and grabbed it. So I have the DVD. I have the Blu-ray of the substance right here.
Oh, so good.
Unfortunately, there's not a lot of extra bonus stuff. I'm a little disappointed in that. But the movie in itself is pretty damn good.
Yeah, I have to agree.
Now, if you want to know how good it is, stay tuned because that's what we're literally going to tell you about.
We're literally going to tear it apart. So when we do these critiques, we have an arduous critique system that we, Yep.
Written out on graph paper because I'm fancy.
Because I do mine in Notion, but yes. We have banners.
I got that from like an internet chef. She says, "Do this because you're fancy." She's cute, so I follow. And the recipes are good because I love Italian food.
Yeah. Okay, so we talk about production. We talk about writing. We talk about characterization, and we explore the theme.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start with production. So we've got art direction and makeup and cinematography. Oh no, we lost him. I'm gonna wait patiently for him to come back. Woo!
This happens from time to time. It's a beautiful thing about being live. I freeze every once in a while. So if I pop out, pop back. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Everything's gonna be fine.
First is the general story. Like, what is this movie about?
What is this movie about?
This is a movie about an actress named Elizabeth Sparkle. Sparkle is Sparkle, right? It's not
Sparkle.
It's like Sparkle or Sprinkle. Sparkle. An actress named Elizabeth Sparkle who does like a fitness show, kind of like Sweating to the Oldies kind of thing. If you're old enough to remember what that is, I froze again.
You froze again.
I did. Am I still like audio? Can you still hear
Yeah,
me? Show?
you're still.
Well, you know what? This is not the world's worst face of mine. I'll just talk for a minute, and I'll just pull out in a second.
Okay.
Yeah, fuck it. So she basically gets older, and she kind of works her way out of favor. She's no longer the youthful, pretty young girl that everyone's kind of looking for in their TV. And so she's been kind of pushed out. So this is a movie about her desperation in that finding herself in that space and how she decides to work her way out of that.
That's an interesting way of putting it.
Well, I'm trying to be broad. So that we can go into the details.
So Aisling said, or Ashlyn? I find recent DVDs have less special features than in the past 5 years.
That is fairly accurate. I think a lot of people, to get costs down, they put the movie on at maybe 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 at the most of some director commentary. This is what the movie was about, maybe some pictures and such, some trailers, and then they call it a day to put the DVD out.
Yeah. And they're trying to basically compete with streaming is the physical media.
Yeah.
And being that I originally saw it on Apple Plus, and then I had to it was removed from Apple Plus and taken to Mubi to celebrate women in film and stuff like that. And I need to own a copy, I think.
Absolutely. I'm going to try to reset this camera.
Sure.
How about you go ahead and just go into the production stuff, and I'll catch up when I get back.
Roger that. All right. So I'm going to talk about the art direction a little bit. So there were these gross close-up shots throughout the movie that really messed with me. And they were supposed to. So oh, is it me too? Is it me too? The makeup and the props. I froze, but I'm back. Okay, cool. Thank you, Ash, for being there. Makeup was brilliant. Showed their best features and their worst, which was pretty phenomenal. And then, of course, the prosthetics and the suit and the whole third act was just the makeup was amazing. Cinematography, I want to wait until Moon comes back from fixing his camera and rebooting and things like that. Before we dive into the cinematography, because I have a lot to say regarding the cinematography. Yeah, so the disgusting scenes were particularly disgusting. Randy Quaid eating was so nauseating. Boom.
I returned. Oh, Jesus Christ. I was like, after
Oh,
been like, you know what? We're just going to be in the show. I'm just going to look like that. Oh, wait. Am I back? Oh, shit. Look at that. I came back.
look at that. You came back.
Oh, I don't know where you were in the point because I rolled over my toe with my rolly chair. It was ridiculous. Yeah. I heard crunching and cracking, and which feels so apropos for a discussion about body horror
Uh-huh.
because that happens a couple times in this movie.
Uh-huh.
Body parts just like break and crack and get old and wrinkly and decay, and it's crazy. Where were you in your point before
I am just getting into cinematography.
Excuse my my expression. It still hurts.
Yeah.
My toe is killing me.
Mm-hmm.
But what also is killing me is the fact that I don't know how to do the camera shots that were done in this movie. It pains me almost as much as my toe does that such amazing cinematography took place in this movie. As a filmmaker, I don't know how to do that. I am so upset. I don't know what hurts me. I don't know what hurts me more, my toe or my feelings, when I realized that what was done in this movie with perspective and camera angles.
Those angles, I believe that they were homages to Kubrick. Especially the long hallways, the bathroom with the red and white bathroom, like all that stuff. Like, yeah. It definitely harkened back to like The Shining, like directly referencing The Shining.
Yeah, and that's one of the draws to the movie, particularly in the early part, is just the way that this is just shot. Content aside, if you look at just how the movie is shot, it is
beautifully done.
If you're a filmmaker, whether you like horror or not, whether you like body horror or not, whether you're a fan of these actors and actresses, watch this movie anyway. There will be points for you to be inspired. You can be inspired out of any movie. This is definitely going to be one of those movies that will inspire you as a filmmaker. Guarantee.
As a storyteller in general, I feel like it's we'll get into pacing later, but like the way they tell the story is just sound engineering is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, turn it up and turn out the lights and just
sit back and enjoy.
Just consume this movie and experience it almost firsthand, the way they do their detail shots and montages and stuff like that. Like, yeah.
It's an aesthetically.
I thought it was.
It's an aesthetically appealing film, and that's kind of what you ultimately look for when you're talking about production of any kind of anything. It's how aesthetically pleasing is this movie,
or upsetting
in some cases, but
like Randy Quaid in the beginning. Oh,
I will say, like, okay, so there is a scene that she's referring to where the producer, his name is Harvey, of course it is. He's a gross producer, of course his name is Harvey. That was surely done by accident.
Yeah.
Not at all. So he's eating like crawfish or something. He's ripping the heads off of them, and it's messy. And in this particular scene, talking about sound design, like it's just, and it sounds messy to be gross. Like the intention is to sound disgusting, and they
And
succeed.
and to make eating, sucking the heads off of crawdads the most disgusting thing that you've ever seen.
And this is a gross producer. Like you're supposed to look at him like he's gross because he's taking this
Visceral,
the
yeah.
known star and he's trying to replace the known star with someone younger, prettier, sexier, and that just harkens back to that just kind of gross taking advantage of producers and whatnot,
and also the booting out of older women.
Yeah,
where women aren't allowed to age.
And that's because everything comes back to wrestling. That is something that has been plaguing professional wrestling a lot. Everyone's trying to, like, you'll have, older wrestlers like Adam Copeland or Christian Cage or even Randy Orton and John Cena, who just last night won the WWE Championship just to prove a point. It's a whole thing in wrestling. You'll hear about that on.
I'll have to watch your show. Yeah,
you'll listen to the Moon Eagles Wrestling Podcast. Later this week. I'll be talking about that match extensively. But this is not that show. But the point of that is these are guys who are in their mid 40s. You get a woman in her 30s, and they're already looking at you like, it's time to scoot you out the door. I mean, you're going to have some very few exceptions, like your Mickey Jameses and your Trish Stratuses, but even with them, they quote unquote like aged well. So a lot of times they're legends and they've aged well, so they're still good for TV, and you put them on TV. But otherwise, they're looking for your 18-year-old, your 19-year-old, your 20-year-old, your 23-year-olds, and once you get to about 30 in the wrestling world, as a woman, they start trying to phase you out. One woman in particular, and I'm only talking about this because it actually fits the point, and her name was Lady Frost. She's probably in the upper half of her mid 30s, probably like 35, 36. Stunning woman, great in the ring, great in-ring performance. She's agile. She is, she's just really, really good in the ring. She's tough. She's strong. All the things you want in a professional wrestler. But they some people don't want to sign her because she's older. I was still moving to me. You weren't moving.
We both went out on my screen. So
that's the beauty of being live. As long as you can still hear us, that's what matters.
Something's up with StreamYard today. All the gremlins.
I blame everybody. You know me well enough. You know exactly who I blame.
Okay, so
color indigo. The color indigo is the reason why everything is falling apart. Indigo has teamed up with Periwinkle, and they're extremely in it.
Yeah.
Everything is the fault of Periwinkle. Ultimately, I digress.
That is a story for another time. However poignant. I did want to mention the fact that I thought it was a really bold and wonderful choice to show Demi Moore in the buff for her, while she's taking care of things in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And
we're talking almost completely, like, as far as we're not quite the porn status of completely nude, but like just shy.
Just shy.
Just shy. And it's tasteful. It's like
unapologetic, though.
Yes, that'd be a good way.
I loved it. I loved that.
And it wasn't exploitative. It was this is a woman in her bathroom. This is what a woman in her bathroom would look like.
Mm-hmm.
A woman fresh out of the shower would be like this, and they portrayed it as such. So they did it tastefully. It was tasteful given the circumstance.
Yes. So what Ash likes about that is the nudity we are seeing her in a vulnerable moment while she is about to use the substance, but also she was vulnerable because she is nude. Yes, absolutely. And she was nervous. Like a little bit of trivia, she was super nervous about that because partly because she's turning 60 this year, and she was playing a 50-year-old woman. And when she read the contract, she like she could see it either being wildly successful or a total disaster, and that perfect storm needed to happen in order for her to accept the role.
And realistically, you honestly just could not tell this story without it. This story does not tell us. It doesn't come across the same. If she's in a robe or if she was dressed like in any kind of sleepwear, there has to be this. It's one, it's body horror, and two, as we're talking about, this is a moment of reflection for her. Like she is reflecting on the fact that she has now been aged out of Hollywood. And so she is looking at herself as, this is what's being aged out. This is no longer acceptable. And it's like she's visually coming to terms with it in a sense. And that has to happen. We have to see her go through that. We need the time it takes for that in order to really drive that point home.
Also, bubbles in the IV. Super spoopy. Super spoopy. I'm like, I don't, nope.
Okay.
They're doing the feeding thing with the,
yeah. It's gross in certain parts, but it's body horror. It's kind of intended to be gross. So gross is kind of a.
For those of us who know that bubbles in the IV could mean like, a bubble will end up in your brain or in your heart. And
yeah, but once stuff starts to flow through, if outside of seeing the initial flow, like there's nothing that shows movement in an IV. I mean, and so the bubble's kind of there, in my view.
That's fair.
Show move, like this is flowing. How do I know it's flowing? Because it's not like different colored things going through a thing. Once it's gone from end to end, at least once, now it's just solid in a line. But if I see a bubble or a break in the flow, then I see that there's movement happening. And for me, that's what I drew from it. It's a matter of visualizing movement of the liquid.
Also saw it as a comment on plastic surgery. Yes, that some people chase being young to the point of hurting themselves, and I always think there is an element of body horror in cosmetic surgery. I absolutely agree.
That is fodder for a much deeper conversation. Like I could like between and shows like Nip
we talked about that a little bit in the body horror episode.
Yeah.
In that Korean culture is very plastic surgery heavy.
We even talked about a short film.
Human Form. Yeah,
the short film that was literally that. It was literally about cosmetic surgery and the commonality of it.
Yeah. But back to the thing. I have like 5 more points that I just want to gush. I just had production notes. That fight. There was some incongruency in that.
I have an issue with that fight. I was going to wait until we got into the writing
Okay, we can talk about it more
Because
in the
to me,
writing.
I think that's, I mean, it could be, okay, we can talk about it now. I want to talk about it either way. It's fine. Okay. So my problem here, there's a fight scene at the end. Where so to get a gist of why this is a big deal, they are on off every other week. So you're 7 days. Let me back up. So the substance basically creates a younger version of you from you, right? So there's you, and then there's your younger version. We'll call it your doppelganger. They don't say it like that, but we're just going to call it your doppelganger, your copy. We'll just say that, your younger copy. So then there's the original yourself, and then your younger copy. And one exists for 7 days, and then they shut down, and then the other one lives for 7 days. And then they keep going back and forth. And then there's a process. You'll see the process when you watch the movie. And it's strict. It's like 7 days, don't break from the cycle. There's consequences. And so they're never awake at the same time. There is a fight scene at the end under circumstances, again, that's the story, where they are both awake at the same time. And they're basically fighting each other to exist versus the other, even though they need each other. So the fight scene is between the original, the Demi Moore, Elizabeth, and then the copy, which is named Sue. So the fight's between Elizabeth and Sue. And
but
I have a problem with this scene.
What?
So as we're leading into that moment, we see a old, decrepit, extreme aged version of Elizabeth. Again, that's story stuff. Maybe we'll get into it, maybe we won't. She's extremely aged, like the equivalent of like 108 years old in my estimation.
Yeah.
And she is slow. She is creeping. She's crawling. She's barely able to get her body to work. And then she's going to have this one-on-one fight with a 25-year-old version of herself where she can suddenly run and throw a 25-year-old. Worse off, she could drag that 25-year-old's body across the room. Now, don't get me wrong, she's a small chick, but if your body's frail and your muscles are that far deteriorated, you're not dragging shit. You're barely dragging your ass out of bed, let alone dragging a 25-year-old person across a gigantic penthouse.
I will give you that.
And I mean, like you sell the frailty to me. You sell me the age of the character. You sell me how just riddled with old age and how decrepit and broken she is. And then you tell me she can withstand this fight and drag a body across a penthouse. It took me out. It took me out of the whole thing. On my end, Sako's frozen, but I can't tell if she's still there or not. I'm going to assume that she's not. So either way, this is the part of the movie that took me out. Now I had some friends kind of give me some thoughts back and forth, and they're okay with it. They're okay by it. I got Sako back now. But yeah, I have an issue with this as far as the story is concerned. I mean, cool fight scene, whatever. But if you're going to sell me old woman, very old woman, broken down old woman, don't turn around and tell me she can do these things. It doesn't track with me in storytelling.
Okay, I'll give you that. Now, two chicks like trying to kill each other.
I'm down for that all day.
That was impressive, especially since neither of them had training in fighting or anything like that. You know,
Demi Moore was G.I. Jane, so
yeah.
And she had just about as much hair as G.I. Jane.
um, let's see.
Calm down, Will Smith. We're talking about the actual actress who played G.I. Jane. Don't come up here and try to slap me.
Yeah. I got you back.
Thank you.
So Sue, when she starts trying to take advantage of the stabilizer fluid so that she can do this New Year's Eve thing, and she starts falling apart. Like, she's losing her teeth, she's bleeding from the nose, she's losing her fingernails. And I've had that nightmare many times where you're losing your teeth, you're losing your fingernails. And I actually lost nails when I was starving to death. So, well, not to death. Like, obviously, I'm still alive. But when I wasn't eating because I wasn't hungry, yeah, that was drastic. So yeah, I was at my ideal weight, but my the drawback was that I was
falling apart,
malnutritioned,
which is essentially what the stabilizer, which is what the stabilizer is basically trying to do. It's your nutrition for the copy, ultimately. Mm-hmm. I think.
Well, there was the food for the body that was, dormant.
Down. Yeah, dormant.
Mm-hmm. And then there was the stabilizer fluid that she got from the spine.
Yeah.
Excellent makeup on the spine where she was repeatedly getting the stabilizer fluid from.
She was trying to. There's a part where she realizes that she can get the stabilizer instead of from like this tube that comes with the packet. Like, she can just draw it straight from the spine and let Elizabeth lay dormant for longer than 7 days. And it just gets rotted and infected, and it just looks gnarly. Over time, it's like all that makeup was fantastically done. It looked like she was just falling apart. I will admit that the really old Elizabeth kind of looked like the Six Flags old man.
A little bit.
And it's one of those things, like, you see it, you acknowledge it, and you kind of roll on about it.
Yep.
I know I'm frozen. I'm just like carrying on.
Okay.
Hopefully I'll pop back, and if not,
well,
this has been a crazy stream as it is. So we're gonna ride the wave here.
Ride the wave. Speaking of waves, that climax where Elizabeth is on the stage and being, it's a monster. That bloodbath.
That is okay. In isolation, it was fine. I didn't like it compared to the rest of the movie. Compared to the rest of the movie plays really straight, right? It plays it plays serious. Like it plays very linearly. It plays very sensibly. There are obvious reactions to obvious stimuli. Things make sense. And once we get to this ending, I was out.
We'll get into that in the writing, which way you can start talking about right now.
We have to vote on the production. I'll give it a star. Absolutely.
I give it a star. So dialogue. Randy Quaid takes the cake. Every word was so carefully worded. I think there are flaws in the third act.
There are lots of flaws in the third act.
I understand the direction it took.
Agreed.
That made sense to me. I think it that again, let's talk about that in the pacing and the plot and the
as far as dialogue is concerned, the movie is almost a movie of two parts. The third act being kind of isolated in its own right. The third act is campy. I feel like someone had I've done this. I'm probably in the process of doing this, where I have a really, really good idea that leads me up to a certain point, and then I am lost because I'm like, ooh, I thought of something really, really clever to this point, and I'm like, I don't know what to do when I get here. And then sometimes you realize, like, all right, this has to end at some point. And if you're in Hollywood and you're on a deadline or whatever, then it's like, all right, let me just put something together and just throw it in there. It's, good enough. And chances are
did it seem rushed to you? That like
the idea seemed rushed to me. And that's because there was such a build to establish Elizabeth. First of all, the opening sequence where we go through the entire career, essentially the rise and fall of Elizabeth Sparkle's popularity, just by staring at her Hollywood star. I thought that was a genius way to establish the rise and fall of a character with the simplest of montages. It was just very simple. Like, we show up and we're staring at a piece of ground, and they build the star. And when they build the star, she, premieres her star, she debuts with her star, and she shows it off. And then it's all these people talking about her, and it's all these people just kind of walking over it, and the star is no longer being maintained properly. And people are like, ooh, I remember her, kind of. And just kind of a really good way of time passing to show that this is a young actress who is very, very popular and suddenly is falling out of favor. She's been probably socially replaced with the next big thing. I thought that was fantastic story writing. And then you follow that up with establishing who Elizabeth Sparkle is now. This was in the set design. This hallway in the studio that has all these different posters of her different things that she's done through the course of her career. And they show it full of posters. And then when she gets ousted, all the posters are gone. And then as Sue jumps in, they start to put up a poster of Sue, and you just start to see it build. And then there's that first poster of Sue, and she starts to show. And then there's the second poster of Sue when she's supposed to do the New Year's thing. And I love that in its storytelling with the set. But as far as the dialogue is concerned, the first, I guess, two acts are well written. that it makes sense for the things that are said to be said, and who's saying them and who they're saying to. As Elizabeth is establishing her complaint with this entity on the phone, this organization that sends her the substance, they're very simple. They're very to the point. I love the juxtaposition between the frustration of Elizabeth when she calls and how stoic and static they are on the phone. Like, they don't care who your name is. They give us your number, and they don't ask for the number. They just wait for you to be smart enough to tell them. They are very matter of fact, and they're very like, this is what you asked for. Don't complain to us. We gave you instructions. Your job's to follow them. This conversation's over. And they cut off. And I love that. And I love that in both the delivery and how that's written. And one of the issues I apparently had during in screenwriting is making my characters sound different. And I'm working on that. And so to see how different these characters sound and to see that
their
being
voices
delivered, even with Elizabeth and Sue, who are supposed to be similar enough, you can see similarities in how they complain. But other than that, they are establishing as themselves, and I like that in the way the dialogue is written.
I also, just to put this into the thing, into the hat, I loved when she turned into the old lady, and it's the third time that she goes for her termination kit, and she comes out of her apartment, and the dude is like, "Oh, Sue," and she's like, "Fuck off," and I was just like, "Yes."
There's a creepy neighbor.
Creepy neighbor. Yeah.
He complains to Elizabeth. And then when he realizes that like the hot and young, sexy Sue is there, he gets really creepy. I did I do a Thursday night movie commentary over on Bluesky, and I did this as movie commentary on Thursday. And when I got to that point, I was just like, listen, guys, don't be that creepy dude just creeping up on a chick. If you're interested, it's okay to just say, hey, I think you're really pretty. Hey, I think you're really kind, and it would be really cool if, maybe we can go have drinks or have dinner. To ask a girl on a date is fine. If she's interested, you'll know. If she's not, you'll know. Please take the hint. And ladies, as a guy, let me say, give us the bloody. Like, just tell us. Give us the hint. Don't try to spare our feelings. Fuck our feelings.
Hey, there are times where we're super blunt, and you guys still don't get it.
I know. That's my message. Women, be blunt. I understand that there are some times you're in situations where you don't feel safe enough to do that. And for that, I apologize. And I don't really have an answer for that. Stab dude in the leg. I don't know. Worked in the menu. Which is another great review that you guys should check out. That from Sako Moon. Stab him in the thigh. With some scissors. But no, seriously, like the guy was creepy. Guys, don't be creepy. Women, be very blunt, and guys, take the hint.
The way she talked to herself, and also you'll notice she only had one line of dialogue in all of her scenes with Dennis Quaid. Uh-oh.
Well, I'm here. I mean, I don't know if we're both here.
Am I frozen?
No. Not for me. I still see you moving. You're just blinking.
Okay.
I'm still frozen. I'm just like, I don't even care anymore. This is about as good as my face gets anyway. So like, we all talk to ourselves in a way that
We can look at Elizabeth, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. We all commiserate with that.
I agree.
And the way she talked around men was very diminutive.
We're talking about Elizabeth?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sue, not so much.
Sue realized that men are very simple creatures. And if you can like mentally tickle our fancies just a little bit, we're pretty much putty in your hands. And that is a shit description of men, but accurate for this world that this movie takes place in. And if they're a little bit entertained, then they'll just kind of bend over backwards for you. And she realized that there was power in that. And she fully intended to abuse that power for her own benefit. It was really kind of poignant in the scene near the end as they're doing the New Year's thing. She's in the hall and all the shareholders show up. And when all the shareholders show up, they're all weird and giddy like Harvey has been through most of this. Harvey's oddly giddy. Like, ooh, I have a sexy new toy to play with. And for the record, he doesn't immediately come on to her, but he is unnecessarily obsessed with her attractiveness, which I get it. He's putting a woman in a fitness show on TV. But even the when they show the shots of the show being made, the show with Elizabeth, it's shot totally different than the show with Sue. It's exploitative. With Sue, it's less of a fitness show and more of a softcore porn, and all of that is just kind of what entertains Harvey, and that leads into his giddiness around Sue and the shareholders around the show and around Sue, and how Sue is able to kind of feed into that to a point where she knows that she's in charge of this and she's going to get what she wants from this. And the moment she learned that was when she said, hey, I can only film every other week because of the back and forth with Elizabeth. And he's like, I don't care. You're hot. We'll give you whatever you want. She's like, yes, you will. Yes, you will.
Yep. Let's see. Plot. Foreshadowing. The foreshadowing was epic. I would call it expert mode.
Yeah. I think there's some good foreshadowing as we lead to what happens in the third act. Honestly, I think the general story is kind of, it's broad enough to where 9 out of 10 intelligent movie watchers is going to know exactly how the movie's going to play out up into the third act. I didn't quite see the third act coming, but leading up to that third act, I think we all kind of saw how this was coming up, and it did get very well foreshadowed with the old man in the diner.
Yes.
The old man in the diner. There's a point where Elizabeth is in a diner, and there's an old man who kind of sees her, and he says something to her. I can't remember exactly what he says, but it was very.
Oh, we have a reason to exist, and
no, before that, the signal, the thing that he says that makes her realize
7 days. Yeah. Not
Yeah.
enough time.
7 days, not enough time. And of course, like with it being a week on, week off, she realizes, how does he know? Like, how does he know I'm doing the substance? And it's because he's doing the substance. He's so much older than she is, visibly. And he says, has she started taking advantage of you yet? Has she started taking more time from you yet? And then she realizes that the young guy in her doctor's office was the copy of this old man. They had a shared mole or scar or birthmark or something.
Yeah.
And that's when she realized, and this is the guy who said that she'd be perfect for the experiment. And that was the foreshadowing. It was like, this old decrepit guy he's her future. And I think she started to realize that. So mentally she wanted to avoid it. And then realized it was inevitable.
Yeah. Well put. How do we feel about the pacing?
Up to the third act, everything was fine.
I was enthralled the whole time.
I was, but again, I was so taken out, and I feel like the ending wasn't rushed. It was not rushed. However, I do think that a lot happened once Sue leaves the studio to head home because she's falling apart. Once she realizes that her teeth are falling out, her ears falling off, some shit like that. Once she realizes, I need to go back home and get stabilizer somehow, some way out of Elizabeth. When she does that, that's when it all kind of goes to shit for me, pacing wise. Now, again, movie itself is good. The movie is good as far as it pacing. It all kind of like, you want to do like a monstrosity kind of thing. It kind of all rushes into this last bit, and the monster is the monstrous Eliza or whatever it was.
Eliza, yeah.
Like Eliza is. It was gross. I think at some point it gave birth to a boob.
Yes.
And that's a sentence I didn't think I'd say, but if it sounds like I'm just being if it sounds like I'm being ridiculous, I'm not. It's literally like it gives birth to a breast.
By vomiting it.
A single
boob.
A single boob.
Yep.
Like it's
I thought the people screaming was a bit cartoonish.
And that's what I mean. Like, Harvey was goofy, but not that goofy. Like, imagine if you're in studio and you have to cue people to yell. And then when you're editing, you don't edit out the cueing part. Like, you should just show the screaming, but not the stand there, wait, and then point and go, ah, stand there, wait, and point and go, ah. I wish I was unfrozen so I could like visibly demonstrate it. But
yeah,
you get the point. Like it looked like it got campy. This is what I mean. Like the last part got really campy. And I wish at the very least that other parts of the movie were campy so that the campiness wasn't new. If that makes sense. It feels like we go from this very semi-serious storytelling that's like serious storytelling that's comical, because obviously you got to bring some levity to it, and then they just went straight comic book on the end with the monster. And it's not even the monster itself.
Grindhouse. It went like Grindhouse at the end.
It wasn't even like, okay, because I don't have a lot of expectation with the monster. The monster is a blobule variation of what we've seen from nude Elizabeth and nude Sue. So that's fine. That part wasn't the bother. It was just that everything seemed so campy with this audience that should not be goofy and campy. It shouldn't look so goofy.
I think not just looking goofy, but the whole like Frankenstein's monster meets Carrie sort of persecution. And
this is not even Frankenstein's. This isn't Frankenstein. This is Frankenhooker. This is more Frankenhooker than Frankenstein. And if you've never watched Frankenhooker, then I am sorry. You're welcome.
I'm sorry. You should remedy that immediately.
You should. And then I'll suggest that you watch Frankenhooker. And then when you come back to me and it's like, why did you make me watch that movie? I will then apologize for making you watch that movie.
I will not apologize. I won't
mean it. I'll still say it. I won't mean it. But it was very much Frankenhooker. And in Frankenhooker, it's like you can't take anything seriously. Frankenhooker, in the shortest way I can describe it, there's a scientist who accidentally kills his wife, saves the body parts in hopes to recreate her, like rebuild her. But in order to rebuild her, he needs body parts. He gets his body parts from prostitutes that he can't kill because he has a conscience. So instead of killing these prostitutes on purpose, he accidentally kills these prostitutes with super crack. And so we describe it like that. But he kills them accidentally with super crack and the bodies explode. And so he saves the exploded body parts of the prostitutes and takes them back to rebuild his wife. Like I said, it's a weird ass movie. And if that convinced you how weird the movie was, I don't know what to tell you.
Okay, so for the writing, do we give it a star? Because that ending,
the ending was the ending hurt my feelings, and this is one of the reasons why I feel like the ending was.
I watched it high, and I just thought it was like the best thing I could have been watching at the time.
I did not watch it high. I was in fact sitting very low in my chair. I'm still willing to give it a star because there is comedy in the movie, and there's going to be some kind of grotesque something or other in a body horror movie. Now, I thought the grotesque was showing the unnatural aging of Elizabeth and how that conflicted with the very well maintained body of Sue. That's what I'm going to say professionally. She was hot as fuck. She's 30. I can say that.
Well, 28. She was 28 at the filming.
Well, she's 30 now, so it's fine, I guess.
Yeah.
Shout out to my friend Kelly. But no, she was. It's fine. It's fine. The movie was fine. The writing was fine. The story is still good. Because even with and this is where the monster comes from, that even the young Sue realized that there was fault in her and felt that she needed to replace herself. So as the copy, she took what was left of the stabilizer that should have been thrown out. It wasn't. And made a copy of herself who was indeed, who was also a copy, and that's when you get the monster.
Which is basically a comment on inbreeding, but
more or less. Yeah, that's the story as it was written, as the plot, the dialogue, pacing was fine up until the ending. I just feel like the ending was different enough to take me out of the rest of the movie. I'm still willing to give it a star, though.
Okay, me too. We have hit the hour.
And we're only halfway through.
And we're only halfway through. So
do you want to breeze or
I
part two
cannot. We're gonna have to part two this.
I did not think that we would ever have to part two a movie review.
I never thought.
I love it.
Thank you all for hanging out with us, even though we were frozen for.
I've been frozen for like 20 minutes, like 40 minutes.
Yeah. We will do a part two. So next week you can figure we'll probably do like a second movie.
Better yet, here's what we'll do. You go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button now. And when you do all that, hit the bell. When you hit that bell notification, when we decide to get together, probably sometime during this week, and we do the part two, you'll automatically be notified. You won't even have to worry about trying to come back. We'll just tell you. Let YouTube tell you when our part two comes out. Hit that bell notification, set it for all, and you'll know when every episode, including our part two, comes out.
Yes, those things. So Friday we are having a guest, Renmelian. Who is going to join us and talk about her haunted house story. And we will talk about haunted houses, and we will talk about domestic horror. And the following Monday, we will have a movie that we will mention on Friday.
It's a secret.
It's a secret for now.
It's not that much of a secret. Shh. Hush, Sako. Hush, don't tell them what the movie is. Shh.
And it's not a quiet place.
It's not a quiet place.
Yeah, so we'll see you guys.
We'll catch you guys later. If Streamline will let us.
Oh my god.
Because we still don't have an outro, so I'll just do Sako's and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Yeah.